Keep it locked with your boy on the ones and twos. Going in on the wheels of steel.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball. That's the choice. This is it.
The cocaine and the crack.
It don't sound the same to me.
There's a war going on outside. No man is safe from.
Vegas scoreboard with rainbow. That's how I'm living.
That's how we do it.
That's just the way it is.
Give
That's
it
the reason why I came to you.
Drink and women and money.
Good morning, Las Vegas. All my sports bettors around the world. It's Sunday morning. Sunday baseball. Scotty Beam 'em up Webb on deck with you. Be sure to stay tuned on the half hour. Sports betting is in a little bit of a lull this summer, but we are still going to be bringing you some grease. Got my main man, Ron, third down best bets on the line with me this morning early. Before we get started, Ron, how you doing?
I'm wonderful, bro. How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic, man. Waking up early in the morning here again on KSHP, AM 1400 and 107.1 Vegas Scoreboard Express. Getting into the summer season. We got baseball on deck again, Sunday baseball with Scotty Beam 'em up Webb. You guys definitely want to check him out right now. We're talking to Ron, third down best bets, my co-host and contributor. Each and every single weekend, you can follow him over on Instagram at RaiderHawk1. So, Ron, when we get back from this short commercial break, we're going to jump into a little bit more NBA, some more bread and circus. Chris Paul has been traded again. We'll talk to you a little bit about that. Then we're also going to be talking about this Wembanyama sweepstakes finally getting complete. He's in San Antonio. Got a great pedigree, some great all-stars, Hall of Famers training him up, getting him ready to go. But I did see a video of him yesterday on Twitter chucking up about 10 straight bricks. It's a mid-range jumper, so we'll talk about that again, Ron. And like I said before, a little bit of bread and circus today, guys. Going to be jumping around the sports. And then on the half hour at 6:30, going to be bringing on my main man, Scotty Beam 'em up Webb from the East Coast Sports Investors. So you guys stay tuned. Ron, any shout-outs before this short commercial break before we get back and jump into this grease? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to mention that Super Bowl game. I know she's listening right now. Get it on, girl. Wake up this morning.
There you go. That's right. Everybody here in Las Vegas, wake up every Saturday and Sunday here with me, JB The Ticket, and Vegas Scoreboard Express. Follow the show on The Bird at We Beat the Line. Follow me on Instagram at JB The Ticket. So when I get back from this short commercial break, going to jump into it. Bread and Circus, some NBA talk, preparing you for this summer, getting you ready for the NBA Summer League. Going to be some betting on the line for you with that. So you guys stay tuned. Grab your bankroll. Let's get some money.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball. JBTHETICKET. Vegas Scoreboard Express. Giving you that grease.
This football season, stay in the game with Fubo TV. Over 100 live channels, including NFL Network, NBA TV, and FS1. Don't miss any of the action. Get 7 days free on us at VegasScoreboardExpress.com. Don't get cabled. Get Fubo TV.
Yo, 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 you in the mood. World's finest, man.
And I had to come to him.
The DJ keeping the party going. The DJ keeping the party going all night long. You're listening to the boss of the big ball. JBTHETICKET.
Vegas Scoreboard Express.
Giving you that.
Back at you live, KSHP 107.1 FM, AM 1400. JP The Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express, waking you up every Saturday and Sunday morning early to get you where you want to be with the sports information you can count on. Picks that pay. Got my main man, Ron, third down best bets, back on the line with me. Ron, good morning. I hope you got that good coffee.
I got it. It was great this morning, brother.
That's what I'm talking about, making it happen. Gotta wake you up early in the morning. You guys know what time it is. So let's jump into this NBA talk, a little bit of bread and circus. Been taking a look at the situation here with Chris Paul. Looks like he got out of Phoenix. He's going over to the Golden State Warriors. The Wizards took a low-risk look at Jordan Poole. Now, you know Jordan Poole had that problem early on in the preseason. Got knocked out by Draymond Green, who also is not exercising his option in Golden State. So with this move for Chris Paul, it seems like one of those desperation moves that was made by Karl Malone when he joined the Lakers back in the day. Didn't get a championship. Do you think Chris Paul is going to be one of these guys who had a stellar career, definitely a Hall of Fame guy, one of the best point guards of his generation? Do you think that next season they could possibly see him hoisting that O'Brien trophy? I just don't see it in Golden State. Like I told you before, I think that dynasty is pretty much done. But go ahead, Ron, your thoughts on this trade. Go ahead.
I agree with what you said. I think the dynasty is done. I think it'll be a good trade for them. It'll help them. It's not going to win a championship, and I think Chris Paul's going to have a good year because I think he needed to get out of Phoenix. Phoenix, I said it last year, it's a soft team. They have a lot of issues. It just starts in the front office. It started with Sarver. He's gone now. The new owner was trying to fix that. But it's just the core was bad to start, and it's just you throw the Tin Man in there, and there's not a whole lot of heart there. So
yeah, I mean,
I think getting out of Phoenix is really going to help Chris Paul. I really do. But he's at the end of his career. It's not going to help them win a championship. People are saying that. I think it's wrong. I think their window. I think it's closed.
Yeah, I mean,
They got their championship, and they're done. I mean, it's just
their window's closed. I mean, they were a team of the mid-2000s. They had their run. And now with the NBA going the way that it is, everyone plays like the Warriors did when they started with that, Splash Brothers with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. Every team plays like that now. You can look at a guy like Trae Young. Poor man Steph Curry. He's going to pull up if he's remotely open. So when you talk about it from that perspective, going into the NBA Summer League, talking about these new rookies, talking about these teams that, are going to be making moves. I mean, we're already seeing free agency heat up this summer. Do you think that there are going to be some guys who come out of this summer league who may be a little bit surprising? I know the first 3 draft picks, everyone considers them pretty much a lock, okay? But when I look at some of the undrafted free agents, guys like Drew Timme coming out of Gonzaga, there's a lot of opportunity for guys in this current NBA to kind of make a splash. Like I said before, last year we've seen a flip-flop of the championships over the last couple of seasons, but for some of the older guard, guys like Chris Paul, you had Udonis Haslem a couple of years ago. I think, who else? Another guy who was long in the tooth hanging around. I mean, just a lot of these guys that were a little bit from the older drafts. Do you think the NBA, after really this season, is going to go full-fledged with that FIBA basketball? Go ahead.
I hope they don't, but it sure seems like they are. I mean, it's if you can't shoot threes or if you haven't made more than 5 threes in your life, you're not even going to look at it. Yeah.
I mean, that's just the weird thing about it.
Three-pointers are just what they want now. They're not looking at other stuff anymore. If you're a center and you're 7 foot, you used to be able to bang. If you didn't bang, you didn't get drafted. You got shoved around. It was, Swin Nader running around the court,
Just a different type of league. It's just a different type of league, man. And like I said, they incorporated it. They incorporated the street ball into it, and there was a big pushback for that. Remember the pushback on the dunk. Basketball has always been at war with itself, okay? It didn't naturally evolve, if you will, because if you look at the history of basketball, the regulation of the style of play, I mean, we started off from the era where there was no dribbling. Bob Cousy kind of brought that into the game, dribbling past dudes and keeping the ball away from the defense. Then you had guys like Oscar Robertson, Earl Manigault, Connie Hawkins, guys coming in high flyers, good defensive players. But remember, college basketball disallowed the dunk. You had David Thompson, guy was a high flyer, doing all kinds of acrobatic moves in the air, what they call now jelly, okay? Give it up to the young kids out there. George Gervin, the Iceman, when he was in college, he mastered the finger roll because they couldn't dunk. So it just seems like basketball has always been at war with itself, regulating the play, regulating the personnel, and now we're seeing a product that, in my opinion, is more of a global product. And there was some talk yesterday about basketball no longer being a primary American sport It is a global sport. We look at things like Nikola Jokic winning the championship, guys like Luka Doncic. Some of the bigger stars in the NBA are the international players. So with this year's draft, you had Wembanyama going number 1, kid from France, but then you got into the kid from Alabama. You had Brandon Miller, and then you got Scoot Henderson. Based on some of the young talent that we've seen come into the NBA from the U.S. schools, namely Zion Williamson, this guy's been full of issues. Hasn't done too much. That whole Duke starting 5 that was supposed to come into the NBA and set it ablaze, a lot of them, unfortunately, ended up on the Knicks playing with Thibodeau. So that ain't going to help, When you talk about it from that perspective, do you think that American basketball, as a phenomenon, as a sport that really was community-based, if you will, is kind of gone by the wayside? I think basketball at this point is a club sport, just like Little League Baseball. Little League Baseball is very expensive. That's why a lot of kids in the inner city don't play it. A lot of kids in poor rural areas don't play it. And basketball is becoming the same way. As I said before, Gary Payton was on Instagram, some gentleman's podcast last week, talking about how the parks were empty and how the players now, they all go to a nice air-conditioned gym. They all got new sneakers. They all have uniforms, but they're not being taught how to play the game. They don't set screens. They don't know how to come off the ball. Some of them can't even make a proper bounce pass. So going into the skill level, basic fundamental skills, I think that's what is lacking with the American basketball player, and that's what's hurting the game from the perspective of what we have to offer. Remember in the early 2000s when USA basketball was absolute trash, okay? Remember we were losing to everybody, lost to Argentina. I think we lost to Greece, bronze medal game, things like that. And then the U.S. finally figured out if we're using our best pros to go overseas, we can win. And then they convinced USA basketball, put a little bit of money into it, and convinced the guys like Chris Paul, Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard, all those guys that went over to China in 2008 and brought back home the gold. But I remember in the early 2000s, USA basketball as a country, the players that we were producing, they were getting smacked all over the feet, man. They were getting beat down. So let's talk about that from that perspective. Do you think the NBA, as you know, they've more or less divorced the NCAA, do you think the NBA now is really going to be a world league? They're going to be drafting international players primarily. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. I mean, every point you just made, I agree with 100%. They're great points. I mean, I think it is. I mean, could you imagine next year in the NFL draft, the number 1 pick is from Estonia? The reaction we would hear?
I mean, if he was a kicker kicking 70-yard field goals, wouldn't piss anybody off. Always some good grease. And the NFL had a guy like that with a couple of years back, maybe 20 years ago, Sebastian Janikowski, the kid that was a Polish kid out of Florida State. One of the highest, Raiders, shout out Raiders. They picked him up, one of the highest rated draft picks ever, and one of the most dynamic kickers that the NFL has ever seen. I mean, that guy had a boot. The NFL's never had a problem with the international players. If you look at what the NFL is doing, going over to Europe, they had NFL Europe in the 90s, playing games in London, playing games in Mexico City. They're introducing the game to the international stage after, a 50-year American run. And it's getting quite popular. There are games that are similar to American football, like rugby, Canadian football. Yeah. There's different opportunities for these guys out there. Hold on, go ahead.
Do you see the crowd in Mexico City at the game this year?
I'm telling you, man, these guys, they love it. And you got to understand, the Latino community here in America, there's a lot of cross-cultural generation there. I mean, if you got a cousin who's been in L.A. for 20 years, Rams fan, Raiders fan, he's mailing stuff back home to you. You finally get to see the NFL come to your city. You got friends over in London, guys who, military servicemen. The game of football spread organically, and it didn't put restrictions on its players. And I think naturally that is just the nature of the game. You look at what happened to Maurice Clarett. Poor Maurice Clarett. He tried to break the rule and go to the NFL early after he tore it up at Ohio State. In the NFL just put him through the meat grinder. He wasn't ready And unfortunately, life came at him hard. When you talk about it from the basketball perspective, there was many seasons of the churn and burn, guys coming out of high school, but then they kind of glossed over that with the one and done. And you look at college programs like Kentucky, the entire ACC, Louisville, UCLA, all these teams are absolutely obliterated. The college basketball landscape, as we knew it, is effectively finished. Now in the NIL days, you don't even hear about these kids. You don't see them until they're coming into the pros. And when you talk about it from that perspective, betting-wise, it's really hard to look at the NBA now as a viable betting option based on historical data. You literally have to calculate each and every game. I mean, you got to be tied into the season, because if you're not, it's going to be a long basketball season. Like I mentioned to you, we got the NBA Summer League coming up out here in Vegas. You guys can check these games out. If you're into the three-point shooting, the no defensive plan, I mean, I'm not hating, I'm just saying. Might be able to make a little bit of money on the line. Talking to my main man, Ron, Third Down Best Bets, Vegas Scoreboard Express, VSX Digital Sports Networks. Check out our sponsor over at Fubo TV. That's FuboTV.com/JB. I'm giving you 15% off. 7 days free. I say it every week. You guys should sign up, man. Cable's going to be gone soon. You guys aren't going to be able to get all the games that you want. Everything is going to streaming. So if you really like sports and you're into sports betting, you need to be in a position to watch these sports and study, so you're not just betting off articles. Ron, any shout-outs before we take this short commercial break and come back? And then we're going to be bringing on my main man, Scotty, Beam 'em Up Webb from the East Coast Sports Investors and MLB-Daily.com to give you the baseball pick to take you out this Sunday. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to mention Hard Rock Hamilton, the defender of the youth.
There you go. Linwood Hard Rock Hamilton.
Let's get those donations going. Let's get that GoFundMe account going. The man's waiting to tell his story. Just let's help him get it funded here, everybody.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Getting it done. Ron, Third Down Best Bets. Giving the shout-out to my main man, Linwood Hard Rock Hamilton. He'll be on this fall. Football, Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to be breaking down the defensive players. He's doing a lot of study. He's like, JB, don't call me just yet. I'm working on my program. So that's what we got to do. Help him get his documentary out. And also, stay tuned. KSHP, when we get back, going to finish up with Ron. Then we're going to go bring on my main man, Scotty, Beam 'em Up Webb. So you guys know what time it is. Each and every weekend, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. KSHP AM 1400 107.1. Get the money.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball, JB the Ticket.
Vegas Scoreboard Express. This football season, stay in the game with Fubo TV. Over 100 live channels, including NFL Network, NBA TV, and FS1. Don't miss any of the action. Get 7 days free on us at VegasScoreboardExpress.com. Don't get cabled. Get Fubo TV.
You heard it here first. Another exclusive track. Right now. The DJ keeping the party going. The DJ keeping the party going all night long. You're listening to the boss of the big ball. JB
the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. Back on the line with you. Got my main man, Ron, Third Down Best Bets. Talking a little bit of Bread+Circus with you. Ron, good morning. You still there with me? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still here, brother.
All right. So glad to have you back, you guys. 107.1 FM KSHP. Lock it in on the radio dial every Saturday and Sunday. Going to be giving you guys sports betting information that you can count on. This summer, though, going to be giving you guys tons of Bread+Circus every Saturday and part of Sunday. Going to be bringing on some special guests this summer talking about the way that sports is. You know, that's what Bread+Circus means. If you don't know what that means, you got to go back to ancient Rome. Rome gave their citizens bread and circuses, sent them to the Colosseum. So they didn't pay attention to the empire falling apart and all the bad moves that were being made. But again, my main man, Ron, Third Down Best Bets. back on the line with me. That's why we call it Bread+Circus, because we want to give you the inside scoop on why sports is the way it is. A lot of people ask me, man, what's going on with sports, man? It's like, it's kind of weird. You know, we don't hear about it like we used to, so that's what this segment is about. So just came across the wire, LSU football program, talking a little bit of college football here with you, ended up with some sanctions. And, I mean, we're in the era of the NIL. What are they doing? According to CBS Sports, the program must vacate 37 wins, leaving former head coach Les Miles ineligible for the College Hall of Fame. What? I am confused here. It says something, the NCAA's release of the Level 1 violation dates back to 2012. Oh, they're backdating. Oh, okay. That old money clawback. Says something, if a representative of LSU's athletics interest paid the father of a prospective athlete over $180,000 over a 5-year span as part of his embezzlement scheme. The athlete enrolled at LSU and competed from 2012 to 2016. The representative has been disassociated with the program for 10 years. Sounds like they might want to bring that guy back. I'm not quite understanding what the problem is here, because we know that these kids can get paid. So this is what I'm talking about. The NCAA cannibalizing and eating off of its sports, and you're talking about it now with the perspective the kids can get paid. I mean, they're kids who played, well, they're not kids anymore, but they're guys who played, and ladies too, back in the day when this was literally like the thing, NCAA investigation, you know. I mean, NCAA was like another one of the alphabet boys. Got ATF, FBI, the NCAA, you know what I mean? So you talk about it from that perspective, and you tell me now you got a guy who doesn't coach there anymore, and I'm reading through the article that said the other violations committed under former coaching staffs in the university, the Level 2 violations seems to stem from former LSU wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., who distributed cash handouts to players on the field following the 2020 college football playoff national championship. I mean that was a flex. That was a super flex. None of those guys were coming back to LSU. They ran through the football season. Joe Burrow has proven himself to be an NFL superstar. Jamar Chase, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, these guys were balling. And you have Odell Beckham Jr., who really has kept himself as a relevant and respectable NFL player over the past few seasons, even though he was tackled by a ghost in the Super Bowl. But he was able to get his ring. So now it says Beckham gave 4 student athletes approximately $2,000 in impermissible benefits, with part of the act being caught on camera and posted to social media. LSU self-reported the incident and banned Beckham from all non-public areas of its facilities for 2 years. Nonsense. Nonsense, man. What are your thoughts, Ron? For me, I think it's just the stupidest thing in the world. I mean, everybody's going to get paid now. Get off of this stuff. Go ahead.
Well, being a USC fan, I know a lot of USC fans are happy this happened because they're still mad about the Reggie Bush thing.
That's what I'm saying. Give Reggie Bush's Heisman back, for crying out loud. Go ahead.
A lot of this happened before that, so the NCAA, for whatever reason, has decided they're going to make a point of showing the world that, hey, we're still in charge. That's what it is. This is a ploy by them to let the world know, hey, we're still here. We're still running this. Even though they get paid, we're still running this. But doing stuff from the past, I don't see how that proves that point. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It does
the Odell
not.
Beckham thing, I'm not surprised that was mentioned because I watched that and I saw it on TV and I was like, oh, that's not good.
I thought that was the biggest flex, though, and I think the ruling had already come down.
It was great for him. I mean, I thought it was great.
I thought it was great for college football. It made a statement. It made a statement.
Go ahead. On a field like that, it's like, you just, at that point, the college landscape wasn't there yet.
Look, the college landscape's got to wake up. That's why the kids are on the field. They're not playing and catching touchdowns and risking injury for a degree. I'm sorry. I'm just going to break it down for you and tell you what time it is. They're not doing that. That's not what they're there for.
That whole season at LSU was like a ghost season for everybody. They were so good that a lot of people didn't even notice till the championship game.
I'm telling you, man, they were smoking, dude.
So good. They were. That's one of the best college football teams ever.
One of the best I've ever seen. Joe Burrow with the cigar after the end of the game. I mean, that's classic Beat Nuts right there. Shout out to Beat Nuts, one of my favorite rap groups from back in the day.
Coach Ogeron, I'm glad he got his title. He deserved it.
You know, they going after my kids, and I'm not excited about that. You know, I'm just doing a little bit of Coach Ogeron there. You know, I do the impressions of these guys.
Coach Ogeron, they should have hired him full-time at SC. He should have never been at LSU.
Yo, I'm telling you, it's one of those situations where I look at it, and I say to myself, why are these leagues, the NCAA and the NBA, are the two leagues that go after themselves? They fight against themselves. They do things that make it harder for their athletes to succeed. And now you're talking about somehow LSU getting violations. Vacating the victories is significant as it drops former Les Miles' career coaching record to 108-73, 59.7. That means he no longer meets the .600 career winning percentage requirement for the college football Hall of Fame candidates. The Tigers also must forfeit 2 bowl wins from that span. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Tired of seeing it, man. Tired of seeing it. When are the fans going to stand up and start some petitions online, that petition.org stuff, and just get rid of this? The conferences, in my opinion, are who should control college sports. The NCAA is effectively saying, look, we fired all the new investigators. We're going to keep on the old guys. We're going to keep pounding these schools. We're going to keep pounding these schools. And what I expect to see in the next 5 years are conferences disassociate themselves with the NCAA. I'm telling you, they're paying the kids. The NCAA as an institution is pretty much useless. And the conferences are already self-regulating the NIL deals for their athletes, a la the SEC, the ACC. A lot of Southern schools are still trying to keep the thumb on these kids and not let them put the cash in your pocket. But we're about to put the cash in your pocket. Got my main man, Scotty Beam him up Webb, coming up next from the East Coast Sports Investors, MLBDaily.com with the Sunday baseball picks for you. But, Ron, it is a situation in sports that needs to be looked at by the fan. If you want to know why you don't see teams on the line, if you want to know why you're not seeing your team on TV, if you want to know why you go to championship events and you only see team apparel, no apparel for the individuals, you don't know who the kids are, no profiles that you're seeing on major sports networks and national TV, this is why. NCAA is still lurking around, causing problems, and it's the age of pay. It's really a waste of time. And they said the guy that raised $180,000 for a 4-year kid that went unnamed, they need to bring him back. I'm just saying. Go ahead, Ron, and then we'll go ahead and get out of here.
He's legal now, and they will bring him back at some point.
Once they disassociate from the Alphabet Boys over at the administrative NCAA, the NCAA spends some money to promote these kids, help these kids get some more profile exposure. Oh, but you're not going to do that because they can get paid now. My main man, Ron, third down, best. Thank you so much for stopping by the big board. Any shout-outs before I let you go, man, and we take over and let Scotty Beam him up Webb do his thing and put the cash in the folks' pockets today. Go ahead. Good show this morning, too, man. Great to have you.
Good to be on it. Thank you, brother. Yeah, my main man out here, Darrell Lackey at Street Factory. Poor lady always hooking me up. And you guys get to talk about something special last night. The Angels beat the Rockies 25-1. Make sure you guys talk about that.
Angels beat the Rockies 25-1. They should have been doing that all season with Showtime, Shohei Ohtani, and Mike Trout. Maybe they got wild and started getting it going.
25-1. You don't see that baseball very often. That was something pretty special last night.
I'm sure I'm going to bring it up with Scotty Beam him up Webb. Ron, thank you so much for stopping by. When I get back from this short commercial break, more grease, all grease, nothing but the grease. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to that Bread and Circus segment. Going to be giving you that all summer. Giving you my opinions, the educated opinions on why sports are the way they are, but you can still profit from it. Sports betting is legal. NIL is legal. Let's everybody get paid. And you know what time it is. Get the money.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball, JBTHETICKET.
Vegas Scoreboard Express.
Giving you that grease.
Vegas Scoreboard Express, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 6 on AM 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at KSHP.com.
Whether you're a corporate executive, on a family vacation, or just passing through, St. George Inn & Suites will meet your specific needs. It's conveniently located near restaurants, shopping, and movie theaters. St. George Inn & Suites offers a variety of room types, 2 fabulous pools and jacuzzis, a fitness center, a free full hot buffet breakfast, and laundry facilities. To make your booking, call 435-673-6661 or book online at stgeorgeinnhotel.com. You need to stop in Southern Utah? Make that stop at St. George Inn & Suites.
More fire, more heat. You're listening to the boss of the big ball, JBTHETICKET. Giving you that grease. Vegas Scoreboard Express. Always spitting that explosive fire.
All grease. Straight grease, nothing but the grease. JB, the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. Back at you live here, KSHP 107.1 AM 1400. Straight grease, I'm telling you. This is sports betting and sports news you can count on. Putting picks in your pocket right now, bringing him on the line. Scotty, beam him up, Webb, East Coast Sports Investors. You follow him over on the Bird at Webby20MLB. Follow him on Instagram at the same thing. And more importantly, jump on that website, MLB-daily.com. Scotty, thank you so much for stopping by the big board again this Sunday. Sunday baseball being presented by Fubo TV. Get over to FuboTV.com/JB. You can watch all these games and put cash in your pocket. Scotty, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, JB. Down here from Florida, it's all good, my friend. It's all good.
Yes, it is all good. And again, you guys are listening to Scotty Beam 'em Up Webb, the walking baseball encyclopedia. Getting ready to jump into some of these picks today. But let's talk about some of the action that we saw yesterday, giving you a Yankees update. Looks like Aaron Judge is hurt again. Oh, no. This guy gets hurt more than we would like to see. We'll talk about it a little bit. But the game that blew people's minds yesterday, the Angels on the road in Colorado, absolutely smacking the Colorado Rockies 25-1. 28 hits, no errors. The Rockies, a pedestrian 1 run, 7 hits. You talk about it from the pitching perspective. The Angels, they had Canning on the mound. They had Moniak. These guys were playing. Moniak in right field, 5 for 5, a home run, RBIs, 4 RBIs actually. This was the game that caught my eye because I was looking at it and I was like, there's no way.
Well, that can happen out in Colorado. The way that the stadium sits and, being above sea level, the ball carries, they were afraid of some of this kind of stuff. So it's not been so bad. I mean, at the beginning when they first started, I think they had some big scores too. It's been a while since we've seen something like this. What was interesting to me is that they got 28 hits. Sometimes you can score a lot of runs and you don't get that many hits, but they got a lot of hits. So,
very efficient on the hitting, 25 runs to 28 hits. Go ahead.
Yeah, usually it takes at least 2 hits to score 1 run. So if they had 28 hits, you'd think they'd have more like 14 runs. But that means there's probably some walks in there. Looking at it, there's at least 6 walks that they had. And, everything's circumstantial. So you get a couple guys on, you hit a home run. Then you get a couple guys on, you hit a home run. That's only 2 hits. And then all of a sudden you got 6 runs. So it's interesting how baseball works. The very same day, the Texas Rangers played the New York Yankees in New York. Severino was on the mound for the Yankees, a guy that's been getting lit up everywhere you go. The Texas Rangers, I think they had 8 or 9 hits and the Yankees had 4 hits, and the game was 1-0.
Wow.
1-0 that the Yankees won. So baseball is just a crazy game sometimes, and it's definitely circumstantial and situational to how they get away with certain things and what pitchers can get out.
Yesterday, the Colorado Rockies weren't doing absolutely anything, but they're on the line today. Let's jump into it. Rotation number 927, the LA Angels at the Colorado Rockies. Rotation number 928. Now, Colorado has only taken 30% of the bets. Plus 130, they've got Austin Gomber, left-hander, on the mound for the Rockies. Now, the Angels have picked it up, 42-36 record. The run line, they're at 500, 39-39. Pretty good road record, 2 games over 500, 22-20. And the run line has been pretty strong on the road as well at 24-18. So with that type of output and production yesterday from the Angels, do you think that they're going to be able to repeat that today and get that minus 150 on the money line? Go ahead.
Well, in normal situations, you want to assume they're going to leave the bats in the bat rack, meaning that, they got all their hits and they got all their runs yesterday. But I will tell you this, that Austin Gomber is one of the most, if not the easiest guy in Major League Baseball to get hits off. He doesn't throw hard. He doesn't have great stuff, and he doesn't get strikeouts, and he walks guys. So he is a perfect combination for an offense to either get started or continue going. So I would tend to think that the Angels will do pretty well against him today.
Well, the total runs, you just mentioned something interesting. You said leaving the bats in, Austin Gomber's easy to hit. So I wanted to throw this betting line in there for you. The total run score today is 13, and then go ahead.
Anderson on the other side, pitching for the Angels. He pitched for the Dodgers last year, and people probably recognize the name from them. But he used to pitch for Colorado. He's going to be used to pitching there. But he doesn't have big stuff either. So meaning that he doesn't have a big fastball. He doesn't have, a big slider. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. So I think they're going to see a lot of balls in play here, and even though they scored all the runs yesterday, I think they're going to see some runs again today.
Talking about the total over or under 13, do you think that's a good bet, or do you like the Angels on the money line? I know they've taken most of the money there today. Go ahead.
Well, if you're going to play the Angels on the money line, you're going to pay a pretty good premium on a pitcher that's not necessarily somebody that I would want to go that way with. Now, I wouldn't mind necessarily. Your better option would be is to play him on the run line there, because the Angels actually have a very formidable offense. They have a very formidable team right now, and Gomber's going to get hit. So there's going to be balls in play all over the place for the Angels.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think you're better off not trying to say, okay, they're going to score 14 runs in this game. I think it's better off to say, okay, well, the Angels will win by 2.
That's what I'm talking about. Take the Angels rotation number 927 in the run line. You're getting good value there at minus 105. Minus 1.5 is that run line. Jumping into some more action today. Another one of the better teams in baseball on the road, going up against a surprising team in baseball. This one's 1:40 p.m. Eastern time, early morning game here in Las Vegas. You got to get over to the book early. That's why JB the Ticket comes on every Saturday and Sunday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. right here on KSHP, AM 1400 and 107.1 FM. You got the Atlanta Braves rotation number 907. These guys are on the road in Cincinnati today. Rotation number 908 going up against the Reds. I like Charlie Morton for the Braves. Seems to be a pretty good value here, minus 165 on the money line. But you've got a very strong Cincinnati team at plus 140s. Now let's talk a little bit about the record. You've got 41-36 for the Cincinnati Reds, doing much better than we thought they would this season. 21-19 at home. Very strong on the run line for these guys. 49-26. And at home, they've also got a winning record at 24-16. You got the Atlanta Braves almost to 50 wins. They can get to 50 wins today. 49-27. 25-12 on the road, 21-16 on the road as far as the run line. In their last 10, they're 9-1, as well as the Cincinnati Reds. This is going to be a good game for early bettors here, and I think you can find some value getting inside that run line with Cincinnati. But go ahead.
Let's first say this, that the Cincinnati Reds are probably one of the greatest conversations you can have in baseball right now. I mean, this is a team that has been dead last for I don't know how long. I mean, they just been dead last.
I'm telling you. They're a great story. Go ahead.
And they have now, got all this youth, and they've got all these things that are happening for them. And Ellie De La Cruz and some of these guys that they've brought up and some of the stuff that's going on for that team, I think, it's very special. Now, they're in first place in the National League Central, and the National League Central is it's just a crazy, crazy, crazy division. But I'll say that without making a lot more moves and getting some pitching help, they won't be there at the end. But that being said, it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the time while you got it, right? I mean,
right.
enjoy what's going on there now because and they got guys coming, more players. But here's what I'll say about today's game. I think that you want to verify your pitcher. You mentioned that Ben Lively was pitching for the Reds, and I've got a different pitcher for the Reds.
I've got two different lines here. I've been seeing that a lot in baseball. Some of the lines and some of the pitchers are incorrect. I've got here for BetUS.com. Check out BetUS.com. Give that shout out to the sponsor. Use offer code VSX125. I've got the Cincinnati Reds with Stout on the line. It says Charlie Morton and Stout. So is it Stout for the Reds today?
Yeah, that's what I have.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's talk about Stout then. Go ahead.
Well, Stout's a guy that's only pitched. He pitched a couple times at the beginning of the year when a guy got hurt, so he just filled in. And this will be his first time starting again since that time. So this is like his third start of the season, and he's been terrible in every one of them. So he has not pitched very well. So I like the idea that Atlanta can score the runs off of Stout today. Morton's been really a good pitcher. The only problem he's had is walks. He can't seem to throw enough strikes, but done very well today. No matter what everybody wants to say, you can talk about how great the Cincinnati Reds run is, but the Atlanta Braves are the best team by far in the National League. They're just the best team. And they don't even have all their pitchers back yet. So when Fried gets back, they're going to have Fried, Morton, and they got Kyle Wright that's still out there. And we haven't even talked about Strider yet. And then that offense is just unbelievable. And that doesn't mean anything bad about the Reds. It just means they don't have pitchers. So when they don't have pitchers, they're going to get lit up. And every one of these totals have been, it was 11 or 12, and they keep flying over the number, and that's just because there's no pitching going on this series. Whatever you do, I would take Atlanta on the run line.
Take Atlanta on the run line, rotation number 907. Scotty, beam him up, Webb, giving you the breakdown, getting you the grease, getting you where you want to be. We're going to take a short commercial break, Scotty, and come back, but before we do, let's talk about another game early. Another cellar dweller who has risen from the ashes, the Baltimore Orioles, rotation number 916. The Orioles right now, 46-29. These guys have an excellent record. They've got Kyle Bradish on the line going up against George Kirby in the Seattle Mariners, rotation number 915. Seattle on the road, minus 115. You've got Baltimore coming in this morning at minus 105. So talk to me a little bit about this game. We'll take a short commercial break. And talk to me about these Baltimore Orioles. They've been really striding so far early on in the season. Again, can get to 50 wins. Total of 8.5 runs today. The money line is even with these guys. Where can you get some money? Go ahead.
Well, I think the Baltimore Orioles, surprised everybody last year, and then this year they just sort of carried that over. They've got a lot of young talent, and that young talent is playing through pretty well. Their pitching, though, is just they just don't have dominant pitchers. So Kyle Bradish is one of their better pitchers, though, and they play very well at home. This is a team that's got a pretty good winning record at home, and Seattle doesn't play very good on the road. Now, the reason Seattle's favored is because Kirby is one of the better pitchers in baseball. He's a guy that doesn't put guys on base. He doesn't walk anybody. He doesn't quite get the strikeouts you would think based on the stuff that he has, but I would look at this one of two ways. I think you can get a good value price on Baltimore being a home dog or a home pick'em kind of price point, or you can even look at this game and say, okay, I don't think they're going to score over 8.5 runs. I think that's the number 8.5. Right. I would say that they'll probably stay under that number.
Telling you to take the under in this game. Rotation number 916, the Seattle Mariners. going up against the Baltimore Orioles, rotation number 916, 8.5. Scotty's telling you take the under, and I'm telling you stay tuned. We're going to finish up and get you out to the book today, give you a couple of more baseball picks with Scotty Beam 'em Up Webb. Any shout-outs before I take this short commercial break? Go ahead, Scotty.
Yeah, it's always one of those things where, I talking about East Coast sports and Jeff Dawson and the show that we do together and stuff, it's been a long time, so I just want to make sure that he knows we're out here, and we think of him every once in a while.
There you go. Got to get Jeff Dawson on the show, too. Jeff, I'm going to give you a call this week. Going to line you up, talk some baseball with you, talk the happenings over at the East Coast Sports Investors. Shout out to the state of Massachusetts for picking up sports betting. Also want to give a shout out to the state of North Carolina for doing so as well. So when we get back from this short commercial break, more with Scotty Beam 'em Up Webb. Going to get you your picks, get you ready to go. So far, we're telling you take the under in the Mariners and the Orioles game. Rotation number 915, Seattle Mariners. Rotation number 916, the Baltimore Orioles. Take the under. The total is 8.5 runs. And then for the Atlanta Braves, we told you take the Atlanta Braves in the run line. -1.5, -120 is the money. Rotation number 907, the Atlanta Braves going up against the Cincinnati Reds at home. Rotation number 908, the Reds are at home. So when I get back, me and Scotty going to wrap it up for you. Put that cash in your pocket. JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. Get the money.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball, JB the Ticket. Vegas Scoreboard Express, giving you that grease.
STN Sports is the only sports betting app you need this season. STN Sports has it all. In-play betting, mobile parlay cards, the Play Plus card to fund and withdraw from anywhere in Nevada, and the latest lines on every game. STN Sports even lets you earn rewards on every bet. Safe and easy betting from your phone or tablet. Go to StationCasinoSports.com or sign up at any Station Casino, Fiesta Wildfire, or the El Cortez. Details at the sportsbooks.
JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express, back at you live on the line here with my main man Scotty Beam 'em Up Webb, East Coast Sports Investors. Baseball Sunday, giving you the picks that pay, putting cash in your pocket. Follow the show on the Bird at We Beat the Line. Follow me on Instagram at JB the Ticket. Giving out picks today for Sunday baseball. Scotty, thank you so much for hanging on the line with me. Let's go ahead and jump back into some of these picks. Are you still there with me? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. No worries.
All right, perfect. I see you got your coffee going. Now let's talk a little bit about them. They're going to be soon. The Las Vegas Athletics. Let's hope they can keep up the winning ways. Yesterday they were able to pull out a win. Still only got 20 wins, though. Almost 60 losses, 20-59, 11-30 on the road. These guys are going out to Canada today, to Toronto, rotation number 917. The Oakland Athletics yesterday were able to be a dog and take home that plus 260. But today, Toronto is looking to bounce back. Rotation number 918, the Toronto Blue Jays, very, very expensive at minus 275. I don't like those expensive bets, but let's talk a little bit about Oakland because I had an interesting perspective on this team. Everybody wants to come to Vegas. Everybody wants to hang out, get this new tax-free sports money. So I think a lot of guys are going to try to improve their play on an individual level, which should raise the team a little bit so they don't get cut before they make the move to Vegas, because that would really suck for some of those guys who've been suffering for the last couple of seasons up in Oakland. But it looks like they're going to start Luis Medina today, right-hander, going up against Yusei Kikuchi, the left-hander for Toronto. Talk to me about what you're seeing on this line today. Go ahead.
Well, Kikuchi's been really good as of late, but he's not a very good pitcher. So he's a lefty, throws hard. He's got good stuff, but he tends to have problems with walks. But he's had that under control here as of late. Now, Medina is pitching today, and he's just a young kid. They got him in a trade. I can't remember who they got him from, but it was earlier this season. But he throws nearly 100 miles an hour. Now, his problem is that he can't locate his pitches at all. He's got a really high walk rate, plus he gives up too many hits. So I don't think it's a good spot for him. But I will say that the Oakland A's, they've won 10 games, I think, in their last 30. But previous to that, they'd only won 10 games in the whole season. So they've done better.
Well, Scotty, we got about a minute left. Going to grab one more game with you. We're probably telling you stay off of that game. Watch it if you're interested. But let's talk about your hometown Tampa Bay Rays today on the line, and then we'll get out of here. About 45 seconds left. Rotation number 920, Tampa Bay Rays. Got Glasnow on the mound. These guys are -1.5 on the run line. Another expensive money line at -245 going up against another bad team in baseball, the Kansas City Royals. +205, the total. Run scored 8.5. Where can you find some money with this one? About 30 seconds, and we'll get out of here. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite kind of spots where you've got a pitcher that pitched for Kansas City the last time out and pitched his best game of the season. His name is Lynch. And Glasnow pitches for the Rays, and he's pitched his worst game out. So that tends to reverse the situation. So I would expect Tampa Bay to go out and almost throw a shutout today, 1 or 2 runs for Kansas City. I think Lynch gets bombed a little bit today. I think your value is going to be on Tampa Bay on the run line at home.
All right, Scotty, beam him up, Webb. Thank you so much for stopping by the big board. JB the Ticket and Vegas Scoreboard Express getting ready to sign off. Get over to the book and get the money.
You're listening to the boss of the big board.